Hello, everyone, and welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Sol, and today I have another book video for you speaking about all the books I read in the month of August. Remember to like and subscribe for more book videos. The first book I want to talk about is Several People Are Typing by Calvin Kasulke. I hope I'm saying his name right. The premise of this book is a workplace satire where Gerald, an employee of a PR firm, conscious gets stuck in the company's Slack messages while his body is physically catatonic. He keeps trying to tell people that something's wrong, and all of the employees of this PR firm think that he's just trying to pull a fast one on them. They don't believe him, they think he's joking, and they also think he's abusing the work from home policy. They're wondering why he's not in the office, and they're kind of complaining a little bit about it. But since he doesn't have to sleep anymore because he doesn't have a waking body to deal with anymore, he gets a lot of work done, and higher ups in this PR firm are really happy with him. But he can also read everyone else's private messages, and that's where you really get this workplace gossip. This book is written in the form of Slack messages because it is just a pretty much a message board that you're reading. It's a quick read, like I blew right through it. The story was really engaging, and I give props to the author for creating a really good story just through messages, because you're not seeing any of like what's actually going on in the real world. It's all just these messages, but yet you're still getting the story of what's going on in the real world. You do get some of The Office, the American version, because that's the only version of The Office that I've seen, and a little bit of Office Space vibes, that movie. If you're looking for a quick, funny read, this is the book for you. I guess August is the month of atypical storytelling because this next book was written in letter format, and that book is Address Unknown by Katherine Kressmenn Taylor. This book centers around these two best friends, both originally from Germany, who own a shop together in San Francisco that sells paintings. So they're pretty much art dealers. One of these men is Jewish, and the other moves back to the motherland right around the time of World War II. In the initial letters, these two men have a great friendship filled with kindness and love, genuine friendship with one another. It changes a little bit because the man that moved back to Germany joins the Nazi party. This book really shows how a well-meaning person can fall for propaganda and become okay with atrocities because you don't view the other people as human anymore. We even get the line, "You're not like other Jews," in one of the letters. Both in the foreword and afterword, if that's the correct terminology, of this book, it describes that unlike other books written about Nazi Germany and World War II, this one was actually written in 1938 in a magazine, later published as a book in 1939. So it's of the time, speaking of the time. And Katherine Kressmenn Taylor actually published it under the name Kressmenn Taylor. So people wouldn't know that it was written by a woman. You have authors like Rebecca Kwong, Victoria Schwab, Shannon Chakraborty. They're known as R.F. Kwong or V.E. Schwab or S.A. Chakraborty, and these authors have spoken on length about how publishers tell them to go by their initials so that way when people are looking at covers and judging a book by its cover, they don't automatically assume, oh, a female wrote this. Also in the afterword, which is done by Katherine Kressmenn Taylor's son, he writes about how his mother was inspired because she had German friends that moved back to Germany around that time. And when they would come back to the US to visit, they all of a sudden were really horrible to their Jewish friends. Friends that they had for years, friends who they were loving and caring before moving back to Germany and then coming to visit, didn't want to have any association with them anymore. And her thought process of like, how can that happen? How can someone go from loving someone to hating someone? And that is why she decided to write this book. In August is Clash of Civilizations Over an Elevator in Piazza Vittorio, written by Amara Lakhous. Please let me have pronounced that correctly. Translated from its original Italian by Anne Goldstein. The premise of this book is a murder mystery where the focus is on all the different people that live in Piazza Vittorio, how they live their lives, how people perceive them, and how those perceptions can be false for the good or the bad. Each chapter focuses on a different person that lives either in the apartment building or works in Piazza Vittorio, and you get their perspective on their lives and the lives of the people around them, and each chapter adds another layer to the story. Someone makes an assumption about a person, and then in a later chapter, you see why that assumption is false, or maybe not the full story, the same scenario happening, but from different perspectives. And I really like that in a book because you don't get the full story when it's just one perspective. Like they say, there's three sides to any story: the first person's, the second person's, and then the actual truth. Most of the characters in this book are immigrants from other countries living in Italy, and an Italy that's not too kind to immigrants at the time setting of this book. I think it's like the early 2000s, but I'm not 100%. There are also several football, soccer references in the book, which made me smile because I am a massive football fan. The main character in this book is a man named Amedeo. He has disappeared, and the authorities believe he's the one that killed the man in the elevator. See, a murder mystery, right? From every perspective, no matter the background, religion, even if they're an Italian who hates immigrants and think they're stealing jobs, literally the opposites of people, they all agree Amedeo is an amazing man. They love him. He's wonderful. There's no way he could be a killer. A good Italian man shouldn't have to go through this. But not everything is as it seems, and you'll have to read the book to find out because I don't want to spoil it. There's some tidbits in there that are pretty good. The next book, I may go in a little bit of a rant, so apologies for that. And this book is The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. This book is one of those situations where you aren't really mad, you're disappointed. The book had really good bones. The premise was really intriguing. It's upsetting that it didn't live up to expectations because this could have been really good. The premise of this book is you have this girl named Cassie who, in order to pay for her master's degree in clinical psychology, she becomes a cam girl on OnlyFans. Fast forward a year later, and she has deleted her OnlyFans, and she's in need of a new job because she just got laid off from her job at the hospital because of downsizing. This ad to become a stay-at-home nanny for the daughter of a single father comes up, and the money is good. Of course, the single father, Aiden, is super hot, and she falls for him. But wait, she finds out a few weeks into the job that Aiden used to be her biggest donor on her OnlyFans. Because of course he was. And I expected hilarity to ensue. And it didn't ensue. And that's very disappointing because I expected this book to be really funny. And it wasn't. Start off with some of the positives. With Cassie has this elderly neighbor before she moves in with Aiden and his daughter Sophie, who's basically Cassie's best friend. I wish there was more of her. She was my favorite. Honestly, one of the only good things about this book. I am going to give a little bit of credit to the author, Lana Ferguson. The daughter, Sophie, really cute, and she acts like a kid. Too many times in books, children as characters, and those children don't act like children. They are pretty much mini adults. This kid acts like a kid. So, I give the author credit for that. Those are the positives. Now on to the negatives, which unfortunately there are a lot. This book was over 400 pages. Let's just start with that. It was over 400 pages for nothing. Honestly, you could take 200 pages off of this book and it would be the exact same. If it was going to be 400 pages for a good reason, these are the acceptable reasons for it to be 400 pages. I would say light spoilers, but what I'm about to mention is such a little part of this book that it doesn't really matter. Aiden is a single dad because he knocked up this chick in college and he tries to make it work with his baby mama, but it doesn't work out, so they decide to co-parent, and this is conveyed in a single paragraph. And the first half of the book. You would like them to go further into that. They don't. Also, baby mama dies from cancer, I think. I don't remember because it's barely talked about. And the only time you really get how this affects the daughter, Sophie, and her life is she tells Cassie when her dad isn't around, it makes her miss her mom even more. And that's like a page. It's heavily implied by the sister of baby mama. Aiden wasn't around for a while and that she helped raise Sophie. And we never get into that. Because why would we? We're also told over and over and over again that Cassie has terrible parents. And when Aiden thinks he's like a bad parent, she's like, "You're not a bad parent because I know what bad parents look like." But you never go into what her parents did to be such bad parents. You just know that they're bad parents. Why would you go into that? There's no reason to go into that in this book. Why? We get zero flashbacks on any of these things. Yet we get a ton of flashbacks about Aiden watching Cassie on OnlyFans, doing what they do on OnlyFans. So we can get all of those flashbacks, but not any actual substance. Okay. Instead of it being long for those reasons, it's long because the first half of the book is rewritten scenes of over and over and over again of Cassie and Aiden being awkward with each other in the kitchen, even before she finds out who he is. And the second half of the book is just sex. Granted, some of it was pretty hot. There's only so many ways that you can write a sex scene. And when it's one right after the other, right after the other, right after the other, it tends to get a little repetitive. Pretty much it comes from home from work. They fuck. He comes home from the gym. They fuck. He comes home from dropping Sophie off at school. They fuck. After Sophie goes to bed, they fuck. When they wake up, they fuck. I think you catch my drift. This book is dual POVs, and when it's on his POV, it's pretty much I can't wait to get home to have sex with Cassie. And when it's her POV, it's pretty much I feel guilty for knowing the secret, but I also can't wait for him to come home so we could have sex. And I don't want to ruin this, so I'm not going to actually tell him the secret. So at least she had two emotions compared to his one. But we get that also playing a lot when they're not together, of her just like, I feel guilty, but I'm not going to tell him. And there's only so many times that you can read the same thing. These two people are painted as being madly in love with each other. But the book doesn't convey love at all. It really only conveys lust. And there's nothing to bring these two together other than that they're both hot and they're single. Also, when the grand reveal happens, when she finally decides to tell him the secret, the issue gets resolved very quickly. And I think you can imagine how that issue is resolved. Like, this book has to be almost done because the issue is solved. When I tell you, because I'm reading it on my phone on the Libby app, and I go to check the percentage, I must be like 90% done. The issue's resolved. And when it said 70%, I still have over 100 pages to go. I almost DNF'd this book. I swear to you, I almost DNF'd it because I'm like, what else is there? Why is it going to be any longer? There is no reason for us to continue. There is one reason for this author, and that's sex. But, I'm not a prude, okay? But I do need substance. And there was no substance in this book. And I was very tired of reading it. And I was in such a mood to read a romance book because I haven't read one in a few months. But I was like, oh, I kind of in the mood to read a romance book. This got me right out of the mood to read a romance book. So unlike Cassie, I was left unsatisfied. Those were all the books I read in August. I really enjoyed the first three books, so 3 out of 4, I guess is pretty good odds, right? I've just been spoiled this year by reading really good books, so a dud was bound to happen, but I've been very careful with curating my books this year to so that way I'm reading books that I really like. Unfortunately, I got a bad book this month. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment down below on what you read in the month of August, and as always, see you next time.